Welcome to the deep dive. So you sent over this really interesting study this week,
Hmm.
and it tackles a question I think, well, a lot of us have probably thought about.
Yeah.
Can taking a quiz before you even learn something new actually help you learn it better?
Yeah, it seems a bit backward, doesn't it?
Right. It feels counterintuitive.
But that initial struggle, that effort to try and recall something before you're taught, it can actually um, prime your brain, get it ready.
Ah, okay. And this study you mentioned by Soderstrom and Bjork,
That's the one. Nicholas Soderstrom and Elizabeth Legum Bjork. They looked at this in a real world setting, an actual classroom.
which is great. So they were in an undergraduate research methods class, and they gave students these short multiple choice quizzes, but before the lecture.
Exactly. Short competitive ones, apparently. Right before certain lectures covering the topics that were just about to be taught.
Okay, competitive. Interesting. And they weren't like high stakes, not for grades.
No, no, low stakes. More like a quick check-in on the upcoming stuff.
Got it. And then the fascinating bit is they tracked how students did on the final exam later on, right? To see if those little pretests actually made a difference.
Precisely. That was the key outcome measure. Did doing these pretests improve final exam performance on those topics?
So that's what we're going to unpack today, sort of our mission for this deep dive. Look at what they found and I guess what it means for, how you might learn better.
Right. Whether it's for work or just understanding something complex you're curious about.
Yeah, exactly. And we need to look at whether it helps just for the exact things on the quiz or if it has a broader effect, like on related ideas too.
That transfer question is crucial. So let's dig into the how. How did they actually run this?
Okay.
So they had a decent number of students, undergraduates, in this research methods course.
Right.
And for some specific lectures, not all of them, I gather students took these brief multiple choice pretests first.
And these questions were directly about the lecture content coming right up.
Yeah. Focused specifically on the topics that were immediately following in that day's lecture.
And I thought this was a smart detail. The lecturer, the person teaching the class, didn't actually see the pretest questions beforehand.
Oh, that's really important, yeah. That controls for the possibility that the lecturer might maybe unconsciously spend more time on or emphasize the pre-tested material.
Right. It keeps the teaching consistent for everyone, whether they got a pretest for that topic or not. Good experimental design.
Definitely. So the main thing they were looking at, the big measure, was performance on the final exam at the end of the term.
Okay, so that gives a sense of longer-term learning, not just immediate recall.
Exactly. It lets them see if those pre-lecture quizzes had a lasting impact.
All right, the moment of truth then. What did they find? Did these sneak peeks, these little quizzes, actually work? Did they boost learning?
Well, the headline finding was, yes, they did. Pretty clearly, actually. The study showed that doing the pretest did improve how well students learned the specific topics that were covered on those quizzes. We saw that reflected in their final exam scores.
So that kind of fits with the testing effect we've talked about before, where just retrieving information helps you remember it.
It does align with that, yeah. The testing effect is usually about testing after learning, but this shows a benefit even before the main learning happens.
But maybe that struggle, even if you get the pretest questions wrong, primes the pump somehow.
That seems to be the idea. That initial effort, that attempt to retrieve or figure it out, prepares the brain to absorb the information better when it's presented formally.
Okay, that alone is pretty cool. But you hinted earlier, and the study outline mentioned, there was more to it. It wasn't just about the specific facts on the pretest.
Right, and this is where, for me, it gets really interesting. This is finding number 2.
Lay it on us.
They also found that pretesting improves students' understanding of material that wasn't directly tested on the pretest, but was related to those topics.
Whoa, okay, so it transfers. The benefit spreads out.
Exactly. It's not just rote memorization of the pretest answers. It seems to enhance the learning of connected concepts, too. A broader understanding.
That's actually huge. Because it means the effort isn't just narrowly focused. Engaging with those initial questions seems to set you up to learn the whole neighborhood of information better.
Precisely. Think about the implications. You try to answer a few questions about, say, topic A beforehand. When the lecture covers topic A, you're more tuned in. But maybe that also helps you connect topic A to the related topic B when that comes up later.
So going back to that work project example, if I try to quiz myself on the basics before a briefing, it might not just help me understand those basics, but also how they fit into the bigger picture.
That's exactly what this finding suggests. It helps build that broader conceptual framework.
Okay, fascinating. Now, what did the students themselves think? Did the researchers ask them about the experience?
They did, yeah, they used a follow-up questionnaire.
Yeah, were the students just clicking through, or did they engage?
Well, importantly, the students reported taking the pretest seriously. They actually put effort in, even though there were no grade points attached.
That's good to know. It wasn't just a passive exercise for them.
Right. And they also said they were generally aware when the pretested topics came up later in the lectures.
So they noticed the connection. Like, oh yeah, this is what that question was about.
Exactly. It suggests the pretest helped them flag that information as important or relevant when they encountered it again during the teaching.
It's like it put a little mental sticky note on that concept.
Kind of, yeah. And maybe the most practical finding from the student perspective was that many of them reported using the pretest to guide how they studied outside of class.
Okay, now that's interesting. So it wasn't just impacting attention during the lecture.
No, it influenced their own study strategies later on.
How so? What did they do?
It seems the pretests acted as a sort of diagnostic tool for them. By trying to answer those questions, even if they got them wrong or felt unsure, they got a better sense of where their knowledge gaps were.
So it helped them figure out, okay, I really didn't get that concept, or I'm shaky on this definition.
Precisely. And that awareness allowed them to be more strategic when they sat down to study later. They could focus their effort on the areas highlighted by the pretest rather than just passively rereading everything.
That makes a lot of sense. It promotes more self-regulated learning, right?
Right.
Taking control of your own study process.
Exactly. It empowers the student to identify weaknesses and allocate their study time more effectively, which is, a huge goal in education.
Definitely.
Huh.
Okay, so we have these cool findings. Better learning of tested stuff, better learning of related stuff, and students using it to guide their own study. So the big question is why? What's the mechanism? How does this pretesting magic actually work?
Well, the researchers proposed a couple of main potential reasons, plausible mechanisms.
Okay.
The first one is what they called increased attentional processing during class.
Meaning, you just pay better attention.
Essentially, yeah. The idea is that by attempting to answer questions about a topic beforehand, you've sort of activated that topic in your mind. You've maybe realized you don't know the answer.
So when the information is presented in the lecture,
Your brain is more attuned to it. It's like you're actively looking for the answer or the explanation you couldn't generate yourself earlier. You process it more deeply.
it's like priming the attentional system. Okay, brain, pay attention when this topic comes up.
Exactly. You're less likely to just let the information wash over you passively because you've already engaged with it, even if unsuccessfully.
That makes intuitive sense.
Yeah.
If you've just wrestled with a question, you're probably more interested in hearing the answer explained properly.
Definitely. And the second mechanism they proposed ties back to what the students reported.
The studying outside of class?
Right. They called it enhanced self-regulated study outside of class.
So using the pretest as that diagnostic tool we talked about.
Exactly. The pretest highlights your areas of uncertainty or weakness. It gives you concrete feedback, even if it's just a feeling of, I guessed on that one.
And then you can use that feedback to study smarter.
Yep. You can focus your limited study time on the concepts that the pretest revealed you didn't grasp fully, rather than spending equal time on things you already know reasonably well.
So it leads to more efficient and targeted studying.
That's the hypothesis. More bang for your study buck, essentially.
Okay, those two mechanisms, better attention in class, smarter studying outside class, seem pretty solid. Now, you mentioned earlier the pretests were competitive. Did the study say much about how important that aspect was?
It's mentioned, but the study wasn't really designed to isolate the effect of competition versus just doing a pretest.
Okay.
But it's reasonable to think, adding a small competitive element, even if low stakes, could boost engagement, right? Make students try a little harder.
Yeah, probably. Even if it's just for bragging rights or seeing your name on a leaderboard, it might increase motivation and focus a bit.
Could play a role, yeah. But the core benefit seems likely tied to the testing process itself.
And crucially, as you said, these were low stakes. That seems really important. We're not talking about adding stressful exams before learning.
Absolutely critical. The idea is that these are short, low-pressure activities designed to facilitate learning, not to create anxiety. It's about priming and diagnosis, not high-stakes evaluation.
That's a relief. So listeners shouldn't think they need to create stressful pre-exams for themselves.
Definitely not. Short, quick self-checks are likely the way to go if you're applying this personally. Now, the researchers, good scientists that they are, did point out a limitation or two.
Right. Important for context. What do they mention?
Well, they noted that while they tried to pair up questions that weren't obviously related, everything in the course was ultimately about research methods in psychology.
Ah, so it's all within the same general subject area.
Exactly. So they couldn't completely rule out that there might have been some subtle underlying connections between topics just because they were all part of that broader field. It makes true unrelatedness tricky in a real course.
Fair enough. That's often a challenge in real-world education research.
It is, and they also mentioned they had to exclude a couple of pretest questions because they turned out to be too easy.
Meaning most students got them right anyway.
Yeah, like over 85% correct, which, as you said earlier, means the question isn't really doing its job of identifying knowledge gaps or priming for difficult concepts.
Right, if everyone knows it, pretesting it doesn't add much.
Yeah,
Good that they acknowledge that.
and it's also worth remembering this study doesn't exist in a vacuum.
No, it builds on other work.
Definitely. It connects strongly to that whole body of research on the testing effect, the general finding that testing improves learning.
And they specifically cited some other pretesting work.
Yes, they mentioned a 2016 paper showing that multiple choice pretesting helps with learning-related info, which really supports their transfer finding. And also a more recent, broader review from 2023 looking at pre-questioning and pretesting effects in general.
So this isn't some random one-off finding. It fits into a bigger picture of how testing, even pre-testing, can be a powerful learning tool.
Exactly. It adds another solid piece of evidence, specifically from a real classroom environment.
Okay, so let's try and boil this down for everyone listening. What's the big takeaway here?
I think the main message is that this simple technique, engaging with material via short, low-stakes quizzes before you formally learn it, seems surprisingly effective.
And effective not just for the exact stuff on the quiz.
Right, but also for related concepts. It seems to prime your brain for broader, more connected understanding.
So the challenge for the listener then is, how could you maybe use this yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Think about situations where you need to learn something new. Could you incorporate some kind of brief self-test beforehand?
Like before reading a chapter, maybe try to answer some questions about it, even if you just make the questions up yourself based on the headings.
Or look for introductory quizzes online related to the topic. Or even just spend 2 minutes brainstorming what you think you know and what questions you have before you start.
So if you're prepping for a meeting on a new topic, maybe jot down 3 quick questions you have about it before you read the pre-brief document.
That could be a really simple way to apply it. It forces that initial engagement.
And it might help you pay closer attention during the meeting and maybe focus your follow-up research later.
Exactly, hitting both of those potential mechanisms we discussed, the focused attention and the better self-directed study.
It's worth asking yourself maybe which of those feels more relevant to you. Do you zone out sometimes when learning? Pretesting might help focus you.
Or do you feel overwhelmed knowing what to study afterwards? Pretesting might help you target your efforts.
It really does seem like a potentially powerful, but also quite simple strategy to add to your learning toolkit.
I think so. It suggests that that little bit of desirable difficulty, the initial grapple with the material, pays off later in deeper understanding.
So this deep dive hopefully gives you not just the what that pretesting works, but some ideas about the why and how you might try it yourself.
Absolutely. It's just the start, of course, but hopefully it sparks some ideas for becoming a slightly more effective learner.